Okay. Well, welcome. We'll get started in just a moment. And Stephanie, if you could uh, click the record, we will get started. It's the top of the hour. So once I know that that's happening, I will I will get chatting. Okay, great. Hi, welcome everybody. And I see a number of people are coming in from various locations, and I am the and Stephanie, um, you can well, we can just leave the slide up, I guess. I am the CEO and founder of Coaching Out of the Box, and I love these live webinars, and I want to just welcome everybody to the webinar for today. And why we're doing this webinar is because in my experience as a longtime coach and coaching educator, one of the most powerful ways you learn to coach is to coach. Certainly that's number one. And secondly, another way is for you to observe coaching and hear feedback on coaching as well. And you are in for a treat because we have that today. And we can move the slide along. I want to introduce some of the participants for this webinar for today. And first and foremost, you'll see Emily McDonald. She is our program advisor at Coaching Out of the Box, and she happens to be in our current fast track to ICF credential program as well. So she has all the information about our program and our other programs as well. And you can reach out to her at any time with questions. And Emily, do you want to just show your face and say hello? If you can. And say something? Take your mute off. Do you know how to? Okay. So
Hi. Sorry.
Great. Hi. Thank you for being here to help us out. And Emily will be watching the chat and picking up on anything people are saying and so on, and trying to help you with your questions and so on. And I'll be introducing our coachees in a minute and our coaches as well. And if you could move the slide across, Stephanie, that would be great. So the purpose is how it can happen in a short time. A lot of people are really kind of wonder about that. I've seen it happen and do some fantastic things in only 5 minutes. We've got more than that today, but it's about using that approach. And you're also going to see some different styles of coaching. You're going to see how ICF coaches, or how coaches use the ICF core competencies, which we are very committed to in training people in. And you're gonna see coaching skills used in the moment. And what we will be doing is we'll be having 12 minutes of coaching, and then each real live coaching demonstration will be followed by 10 minutes of feedback. And I want to really, and then there'll be some Q&As happening as the whole entire webinar unfolds. So that's what we're going to do. And I want to also emphasize there has been nothing rehearsed here. And so these are live, these are real. We don't know, our coaches don't know what the topic's going to be. They don't know anything about what the person's going to be, because we want you to see real live coaching in the moment as it happens out there in the real world too. And if you could move the slide across again, and I already mentioned why we do this, because we want you to see it. We want you to see it happening. So we can move that slide across, but here's what we're doing it, and we do it because as I mentioned before, it takes practice and it can be intimidating, kind of, when you first start out. And hopefully this will also support building your confidence as well. And if you could move the slide across for us, because we want to really anchor you now in the definition of coaching, and that is partnering. I think that's so critical with clients, customers, colleagues, or employees. You can all read, but still in a thought-provoking and creative process that that inspires people and inspires a person to maximize their personal and professional potential. And that's why coaching has grown so much, because it's about tapping into the wisdom, the ideas, the thoughts, the brilliance of the coachee, the person that we're working with and supporting them as they're finding their way. And Stephanie, if you could move that across. We also adhere to all the core competencies of coaching, and they're all listed out here. There's 8 fundamental competencies that you will generally see demonstrated when you see coaching happening, and that is what these are. What will happen also is you'll be receiving, you'll get this all when we send out our follow-up email afterwards, and we've also recorded it as well, so you'll be able to see that in addition to this. So I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. Okay, if you could move this across. So as I already mentioned, I mentioned the time, and I would like to introduce our one of our fantastic coaches who is going to be doing one of the coaching demos, and it is Lorraine. Lorraine is a master certified coach, which takes a lot to accomplish that. A lot of coaching hours, 2,500 now, and lots of experience and so on. And she is a long time, very, very successful coach and coaching educator, because she is on our facilitator team. And she doesn't pull any punches in her coaching, and you'll see. And she taps into all that she brings to coaching. And I'm wondering, and she also has her own coaching company, Soul Designs Coaching International. Lorraine, did you want to just say a couple of things? Not much. You can just say hi and.
Allison, thank you for the lovely introduction. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the introduction. And as I said to you earlier, I'm so happy to be here. This is an exciting playground for me. I love to play in your sandbox anytime. So thank you for the invitation to be here.
Okay.
And I think I'd like to just inspire people and see where people are coming from as I'm watching the chat. And I live in a very rural area of British Columbia called Scotch Creek. So one of the benefits of coaching and the technology that we use to do our work, if you choose to use technology, you can live anywhere and create a life that you really love and a life that you desire through this profession as well, which is one of the benefits. So I just wanted to speak to that as well.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's huge, huge in coaching. So thanks for mentioning that, Lorraine. And then I would also like to introduce Rosa as well. She is another fantastic coach. She holds her PCC, which is also a significant accomplishment in coaching, and loads of experience. She's one of our wonderful coach facilitators as well. And she works with individuals and teams and has her own coaching business as well. And so Rosa, would you like to say a couple of things?
Sure.
Hi, and a couple of things. Yeah, go ahead.
I love that. Hi. No, don't apologize. 2 things. One, I love coaching demos. I love the magic that happens because, again, we don't know what's going to happen, and magic can happen in 12 minutes, which is great. And seriously, anytime I can be in a room with Allison and Lorraine, I'm there. Just sign me up. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, great. Okay, well, thank you. And so, all right. And now I would like to introduce our very first wonderful coachee who has volunteered to be coach, and it's Brenda Amon. And I hope I pronounced that right. Brenda? Ammon. Sorry, I apologize. Brenda Ammon. And Brenda has agreed to be coached, and she would I just really want to thank you, Brenda, for being willing to do that. That's very, very helpful. And that's what makes our coaching demo webinars. And I'd also like to mention that Brenda will be coached by Lorraine. And as you know, Lorraine, you have 12 minutes. I will come in, and how would you like to be told? I'll give you a 2-minute warning is what I've usually done. Does that work for you?
That works perfectly for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And how would you like to get that warning?
I won't notice it in the chat. So if you just come off mute, you don't need to come off video, just come off mute and say 2 minutes.
Okay.
That would be great.
Perfect. I will do that. All right. So without further ado, I will let you get started and I will turn off my mic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Allison. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
Hi, Lorraine. Fantastic.
Oh, it's so good to be with you today. I'm so excited.
I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
All right. So as Allison set up for us, we have 12 minutes together. And as Rosa mentioned, a lot of magic can happen. No pressure. Whatever happens between us happens. And I trust that that's what's right for you at this time. So given our time together, what is your topic for today or what you're bringing to coaching?
I have been thinking about this for quite some time. I would like to get better with my presence as a coach, because I feel like that's really important. I notice as I'm able to be more present, deep in my presence, I can better allow that space for clients.
Okay, so what's the top of mind for you is expanding your capacity for and depth in coaching presence, that competency?
Yes.
And what's important to you about that is that when you do that for yourself, it allows you to do it for others.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else that's important in expanding your coaching presence that's meaningful or significant for you at this time?
I think what I think about when you say that, Lorraine, is I've spent a lot of time like inspiring people and want to be that source of inspiration. And what I'm learning as I work to deepen my presence as a coach is it's more as being a conduit for them to experience that in themselves. And so that's what's important for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So given that coaching presence and expanding that so that you can create more space for others to allow them to experience that sense of presence and and be that conduit. What is it that you'd like to gain in our time together that you don't have now?
Well, sometimes I realize in coaching I might lean in too far.
Like I just did.
but then I find myself leaning back. And so more in developing the presence, I want to just be right here with them.
So really meet. And are you speaking in the physical realm? Or are you speaking in the holistic? Just for context, what does that mean to you to meet them where they are?
To meet them where they are. I think human beings are absolutely amazing. And I think sometimes I've been corrected to say, oh, you can't just go put a gold star on people's forehead, and so how do we let them feel that within themselves? And how do I be a presence for that?
Wow. Okay. So what I'm really hearing show up between us in this at this moment is really your beliefs about people and how much potential actually exists within them, and that you're extremely passionate. This whole thing about presence for you and expanding your coaching presence really creates an opportunity for people to connect with that potential within themselves.
Yes,
Okay.
very much so.
So meeting people where they are then, if that's what you're wanting to leave with, how will you know that you've achieved that today with me?
Well, that achievement word is funny for me because I don't want it to be a reward. How will I know? Can you say that one more time? How will we know that we've achieved that today between the two of us or with a client?
If what you're wanting to leave this conversation with is a sense of, what it means to meet your client where they are in your coaching presence, how will you know that you've achieved that within our coaching today?
I would say connection. Let down my guard. really set aside what the world thinks and what others think, and just really be dialed in on their heart, what's really meaningful to them. Maybe that's helpful, like more set aside what's meaningful to me, but focus on what's more meaningful to them.
Okay, you just had a oh moment. What did you connect with there?
Maybe it, and I feel it a little bit too, because I've always been such an inspiration. It's like, it's the meaning that they want. And if I'm opening to my presence for the meaning that they want, not the meaning I want or see for them to be inspired, but what's meaningful for them, that will create that connection.
Wow. So what's really important about this moment, what this awareness that's emerged about opening up to what's meaningful to them?
Wow. I mean, connection is so huge in coaching, allowing people to be seen and heard just for who they are, and just for like where they are right in front of me, not where I see them in the future, or not where it's like right here, right now.
There's a quote that comes to mind as I hear you speak, and you may have heard it. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah.
To be seen, fully seen and loved anyway, is a human offering that borders on miraculous. It just seems to sum you up and where you are in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's powerful.
All right. So where does that, what are you connecting with at this moment that will support you in expanding your presence?
Oh, that's a great question. It's almost like my heart and my gut, but it's almost like an inner knowing too. That sometimes we cover this up, and as I can let that open up in me, I feel like it can be more available for other people.
Okay. And just to be really clear, you say, when I cover this up, what is this that you're referring to when I cover this up?
I think fully expressing myself as a leader. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've been hiding behind a lot of shoulds, or how do we correctly do it for people, or how do we exactly make it happen, instead of like just fully expressing myself.
So in the time, so you've just recognized and you've just liberated. Okay. Okay. So what's this? What's now possible that wasn't before?
I'm feeling liberated. It's not so much designing the presence, but it's being liberated in who I am and who I want to be for the person across from me. Yeah.
Wow. So I had this sense when you came in that around coaching presence, there was something that you felt you needed to do.
Yes.
What's changed?
I hate that doing an achievement thing, right? I don't want to measure up. I just want to be. And I think as we can let other people be, and I give myself that own permission, then you allow that permission to flourish in other people.
Oh, wow. 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 So the being, giving to yourself, let me go back to your word, liberating yourself in this space and giving yourself permission to be fully expressed, fully seen, fully human in all your beauty and perfect imperfection, actually is the path to expanding your coaching presence, is where you're at right now, because in that you're giving permission and you're creating space in the environment for others to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that makes me think about joy. There's so much joy that we miss, and fully expressing me is bringing way more joy. Yeah. Presence, joy, peace. Yeah.
You just put a star in your own forehead.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Okay.
So no more hiding, Lorraine.
Okay, I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. So what does that mean as far as what's different as a you've made this contact, you've liberated yourself in these beautiful moments. What does that mean and how does it translate into action, I guess is what I'm wondering about.
Well, I think we talked a few seconds ago or a few minutes ago about where is it, the heart, the gut, but fully
2 minutes.
Thank you.
expressing to me seems like expanse of the heart, not be not be afraid of what might happen in there, but just still be in the presence.
Okay, so you're doing this. When you
Yeah.
see me do this, what does that mean to you?
Liberation of the heart.
Okay. Okay. And how does that translate as you leave this conversation into your life? How do you cultivate and nurture this expansion of your heart?
Well, to
And
be a
self?
dynamic leader and a coach, you've got to open your heart. You got to
Okay.
expand the heart.
May I pause you for a moment? Can you go
Sure.
back and just language that as an I statement, please?
As I step out as a dynamic leader, I have to be willing to open the expanse of my heart to be present for other people.
Okay. How did that land when you said it, when you owned your language?
Yeah, a little nervous, but you know what? A little like, why not?
Okay.
What else are we here for? Yeah.
Hey, so that's the edge. You touched an edge. There's a little like, ooh. So what in that space of what are we here for? You're ready for this. It emerged so beautifully and organically in our conversation. You're ready.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you need to continue to move this forward and nurture this, and as a leader, as a person, as a coach?
To believe in my own heart. I've got to believe in that first. And believing in that will make me more present
Okay.
and willing to be with other people in that way. Yeah, I feel that little edge. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So given that our time is up and in honoring the space for other people to be coached, is there anything that you feel compelled or feel the desire to do to support you in opening your heart, trusting your heart, believing in your own heart and being?
I think it's totally okay to continue to inspire people because that's really a belief I have and energizes my own heart. But to know in coaching, I want to have it be about them finding that in themselves.
And that it starts with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Thank you
That was
so
great.
much for playing with me in that space and liberating yourself in this beautiful, important way.
I kind of forgot about everybody in the room, but thank
Me
you for being
too.
here. That's
too.
great.
Well, that in itself was coaching presence. You felt it. Everyone else goes away, and you and I are in this special, unique space that we created together. Well done, you.
And I want to reiterate that, Brenda, like, well done, first of all, of, showing up whole self, come on in and doing this. And like I said to everyone out there, it is magic to watch Lorraine. It really is. So I am looking forward to hearing, as witnesses, as those people who are watching, what your comments are, what you took away. Throw it into the chat. We will be watching that. And Brenda, I have a question for you before I turn to the some feedback, what I witnessed in the conversation. What did Lorraine do that allowed you to, again, move from what you were talking about to this awareness to almost a declaration at the end, when you're like, I will, and you got this strength, this different strength in your voice? What did she do?
No, as you started to talk, Rosa, I think, and it's so funny, I didn't know this at the time, but I felt like Lorraine was slowing me down to actually see that I do already believe in myself. It's okay to believe in myself and to believe in myself. And that's really where it starts. Yeah. Yeah. Slow me down.
I love that. Brenda, thank you. And again, I want to repeat, that was like 12 minutes. One of the most, for me, again, been doing this for a while, I love watching masterful coaches. What I loved that, if someone was watching and you're looking at the ICF competencies, you're like, check, check, check. All of that was woven into what Lorraine shows up as. She is someone who listens with a whole self, like seriously, whether it was mirroring, Brenda, your words back to you, even at the end when it's like, oh, you just put a gold star on your forehead. Those were your words. And she was like, yeah, give them back to you. Or the physicality, right? There was this, you talked about presence. There was this space of, I'm here, we're together, we're going to dance. And the mirroring back, whether it was, this is what I heard you say, or even this physicality of like, what does this mean? And she was moving around because she saw what you were doing. And there's even in that, that beautiful space, Lorraine, that you created when you were, when it was like, I saw an oh moment, and it wasn't, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I think it might be. You're just like, Brenda, you tell me what just happened. You own it, you explore it, you share it with us. And yeah, there was this absolute, again, and if anyone's looking, I know that when we talk to coaches and it's like, oh, that agreement place, or, when we talk about what do you want out of the 12 minutes, and like, how do I help you move forward in that? Some will think that's kind of not robotic, but maybe formulaic. We all saw Hilary did it. It was, what are you bringing? Wait a second, what do you want to walk away with? And then moving always back to the, so, talk to me about this presence. Talk to me about how this is, this is linked back to that goal that you said that you wanted, Brenda. And then moving to action. Look at it as it's like, okay, yeah, how are you going to do that? How, and powerful ways of saying, put it into an I statement so that at the end, I know I did, I don't want to speak for everyone, and I will, that there was this declaration. I need to, I will, I believe in myself. And even your voice got louder and just stronger. So, and again, it is, Lorraine, you ask these questions. You ask beautiful questions. What is important about this new awareness? So it wasn't even just what was in that oh moment. We all felt it. What was what was it? And then what's important to you about it? So it gave that, let's explore it, and let's explore it a bit deeper and deeper. And we all saw you go really deep, really fast. And it was through those questions and the ability or the space, Lorraine, that you give for her to answer the question. Some of us will use those big questions and those exploratory questions that evoke awareness, and then it becomes the space too. Before I go to the chat, Lorraine, I want to open it up and ask you, what enables you, I'll kind of speak it, what enables you to stay in that dance? You didn't know what Brenda was bringing. You didn't, and she brought something sort of big. What enables you to do that when you're in the conversation? What are you holding, Lorraine?
This is the 555 coaching out of the box coaching model. It's so the structure. It's practice, of course. It's practice. For me, it's all who I'm being plus what I do equals the magic of coaching. And I'll even add a third one. It's who I'm being, how I'm seeing myself and others, and what I do. So being present, being open, being unattached, giving up the need to know the answers for Brenda, and really so that goes to how I'm seeing her. I'm seeing her as whole, resourceful, and having capacity in each moment and in her life. But in order to see her in that way, I have to see myself, just like Brenda said. It starts with me. I have to see myself in those ways too, so I can be responsive to her and let go of the need to know. And then the skills that I've learned, the training I've taken, and the structure of the coaching conversation, which supports it all, it contains it all, the 555 model, it all holds it. So So it's trusting myself, trusting the process, and trusting others, and trusting my client. So it's and practice.
And what I
Practice
hear in that practice, there's a courage and that happens in the practice, right? There's this like, I'm going to try this, and oh, wait a second, I'm going to get my groove, and then I'm going to trust myself, and then I'm going to be in that. There is a great question, and there's some wonderful comments about what Lorraine did and that awareness. And Brenda, I will again speak to that courage of just showing up and being in it. Alan asks, how do we as coaches prolong the total presence we experienced at the end of the session for ourselves and clients? So many distraction triggers in the day-to-day life pulling at us, pulling us away from that divine presence. And there is that, this is 12 minutes, and you're talking about that. We talk about that presence place. So I'll actually, before I'll pose that question to you, Lorraine, is when you're in with someone and you're seeing someone in that coaching place and you're listening and you're being and you're creating, how do you continue showing up as you in that distraction filled, when your mind's like, what's the next question?
That's I was referring to is the art of giving up the need to know also embodies a practice of allowing myself to fall in love with my client and who they are and what they're saying, and be my curiosity, pure curiosity. If you think about a kid when they're like curious about an ant on the sidewalk, nothing else exists. I watched my child walk right into like a car head on while he's watching following a bug, right? Not aware of what's going on around, just right there in the moment. And so I think there is a practice that we cultivate. Have I over the years cultivated a practice of meditation? That's where embodying the coaching mindset, which is number 2, competency, is really important. That reflective practice, that way of bringing ourselves in, and I just have a standard that I hold for myself, that I clear myself before, even if it's only 5 minutes I have between sessions. I put myself at the door, and it's a practice. It's not a perfect, because I don't get it right all the time. It's a practice.
And Lorraine, I love what you bring up, and we talk about it in personal groundwork. If you go through Fast Track, anyone who's gone through Fast Track, we talk about it in personal groundwork. It's one of, that portion of the 5-5-5. It's those 5 guiding principles. Is how we show up as coaches. So I'm like, I see Allison. I'm like, if we're at 10 minutes, I hope we're not.
At a time.
And I love that we can talk about it all the time, but it is how you show up, and I love that how you show up is how you serve. So,
thank you, and I just love how much acknowledgement there is for you in the chat, Brenda. The chat and the acknowledgement. So if you haven't read them, please do, because this like no more hiding and declaration of self. And I love your language, Rosa. So okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, Brenda, for being willing to do this. And of course, Lorraine and Rosa as well as, and now we're gonna lickety split move on, but I do want to also acknowledge the comments in the chat are fantastic. And just so many things, and lovely to see some familiar names too. So now, without further ado, so Brenda, thank you. And now we're going to move along, and I would like to have Travis, who is our second coachee, up here. And there he is. Thank you so much. And Rosa will be coaching Travis. And Rosa, how would you like me to give you your 2-minute warning?
I would love if you could just pop on audio and say 2 minutes. I would love that.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Allison.
I will. And okay, so I'll pop off and let the two of you get started.
Awesome.
Okay, and thanks again, Travis.
And I want to acknowledge that again, Travis. It takes a courage to sit on both sides, but especially when it's like, come and play in a space where others are watching. So I also want to acknowledge that if we talk about something that you're like, just say, hey, I'll take that away. So I want to make this safe for you. So given that we have about 11 and a half minutes, I am curious, what can we focus on that will just make the most impact to your day or days coming up in the space that we have?
Yeah, I think the thing I want to talk about today, I have a meeting coming up with my team next week that I do not feel very good about. I'm not, I like have a clue about why, but I'm not sure why. And so I want to explore that a little bit.
Okay. So I hear you talking about the exploration of that something, that block, that's something that may be blocking you from potentially having a really cool meeting with your team.
Yeah.
When you walk away, when you say that one thing, what is that one thing you want to walk away with? What is that thing that will help you potentially unblock or clarity or whatever that is? I'm curious.
I think, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's like something, like I would love to have peace of mind walking into that meeting.
Okay.
Like that's how I want to feel walking in and walking out. And I do not have that right now. And like, I think you said like blocking, it feels like there's something in the way and I don't know what that is. So I kind of want to like, and it also feels like something that like, once I'm able to piece it together, it's just going to like lift. And but I can't put my finger on it. So I'd like to know what that is. And then like, I want to feel like joyful and optimistic walking in next Tuesday.
I'm curious why, again, you bring up the joyful, the optimistic. What's important to you about the meeting next week? You said it was with your team. So what's important to you? Why do you want to have a good meeting?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think on some level, because I don't want to not be joyful at work. But I think the other thing that's like going on, like in particular around this meeting, is like it's in a sequence of meetings where we're trying something different and we're going to assess how that went. And so that assessment is not about me, and I'm not the leader of the meeting. I'm like just part of a team, right? But it is a shift we've made, and it's important to me that like as a team we are able to reflect deeply on what's been happening and what we want to be true going forward. If that makes sense.
It does. So I'm curious. I'm going to take you to the end of the meeting. I know we're not there yet, but I'm going to take you to the end of the meeting.
Right.
And you walk out and you will have peace of mind and you are joyous, as joyous as you want to be at work. I don't see Travis. If you want to click your heels, go ahead. But you're at the end of the meeting and you walk out being like, I feel peaceful. That went really, really, really well. What happened in the meeting for you to feel that?
I think two things are coming to mind right now. One is that people shared what was there for them without like filtering. And then I think the second is that like I'm able to do the same. Like I show up in an authentic way and say my piece of that as well. Yeah. And I think if those things happened, the content of what's said is like not as important as like the spirit in which it's offered in this particular instance for me. And so, I think that would be enough to feel that way.
And I heard two things. You talk about that unfiltered, authentic place, but also a generosity is what I heard in that, because it was this things that are, in the spirit in which things are shared. So what do you need to let go of to be authentic in that meeting, to be unfiltered, if you want to, depending on how you look at those?
Do I need to let go of? A little bit of fear and a little bit of assumption, I think, are the two things that are coming to mind. And I think those are like a little bit of fear. Well, they're tied together, right? So like the assumption is that like my boss who's in the meeting, right, like wants things to be a particular way and like is looking for an answer about like the structure of the meeting that we're going to like guess at essentially until we get it right. And I don't know that as a fact because I'm not inside their head. But it is an assumption that's like, as I say it out loud, I'm like, oh, I believe that right now. And then a fear of like saying how I really feel about things. And I guess there's another assumption tied to that, which is that like a lot of other people on the team feel like I do in that way. So yeah, that's what I'm uncovering right now. Yeah.
So I hear you talking about, again, those assumptions and that fear or that discomfort or something, right? Because as you talk about it, it's does the person leading the meeting have an already predetermined end point, which then impacts that filter, because you did kind of put a filter on it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, as you said, I have an assumption that others feel the same way that you do. How does that impact your ability to just be unfiltered? If you think, oh, whether they feel the same way or how other people feel, how does that impact your ability to be unfiltered?
Yeah, I mean, I think of myself as like a person who reads people fairly well. And so I feel like there's this dynamic that has happened in our meetings in the past where it's like this unspoken agreement of like, well, we're just gonna like not push this any further because we're not gonna get what we want. And so like, I'm not gonna, like, I can see that you're not saying how you really feel, like in your facial expression, essentially, because we're all on Zoom. And so I'm not gonna do that either. And that's what and then we leave and then we don't get anything that we want, and then we like are doomed to another meeting just like that. And so like I've just been through that cycle before. And so I think that's what's giving me that assumption. And to be honest, some conversations about like, yeah, I didn't say anything there because I knew it wasn't going to change. So it's an assumption that it will be true next week. It has been the case in the past, I guess is probably a more accurate statement.
So Travis, I'm hearing this again, and I can sense where you were saying at first, you're like, there's this block where you're saying, I want to show up as unfiltered, authentic, say what I'm thinking. And I want others to be doing the same.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have seen, heard, experienced that that's the opposite of what actually happens in reality. People are edited. Yeah. They may not say what they're thinking, and then you're doomed. I think it's like you're doomed to have the same conversation over and over again. Yeah. So what is the conversation that you need to have that undooms you, I don't want to say, or ends the cycle? Because that in that authentic place you're talking about, Travis.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's an interesting question. Or the part of the conversation like that, I don't know. Well, maybe I don't know what you're asking, because I think like my short answer is like, we need to stop having this meeting because it's lost its purpose. Okay. And I just like, I mean, that's my like blunt thought. It's like, all of this could be said in an email is where I'm at with the meeting at this point. And we've tried a bunch of different things and it hasn't fixed that. And I think the cycle I'm seeing is like, if we don't say that and then do something about it, it's just like, cool, like for an hour and a half every week, we're going to do this again. And I just like, that sounds horrible. And I think what's keeping me from like saying that, like as bluntly as I said it on this call, is yeah, like a fear, like I guess a couple different fears or assumptions. I don't know. Like one is, that's not what my boss wants because they've advocated for having this meeting, right? And then they're like, cool, let's just change it, not get rid of it, right? And then two is, yeah, and then like I don't know, like a sense of hopelessness that ties to the first assumption, which is like, that person has the final say, like it's not my decision, right? And it's not our decision, it's their decision. So it's almost like, yeah, we're gonna like give feedback and stuff, but like only up to a line, you know, and then there's some stuff that's like not on the table, like canceling this thing. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I'm a little, yeah, I'll admit I'm a little lost at this point.
So let's bring you back. You said that you wanted to explore what was holding you back from, or what was just niggling. I want to call it a niggle, what was niggling for you in terms of the meeting that's coming up. And what I heard you say is there's this duality that you're living in, that it's, I want to be real and I want to be blunt and in service to everyone by questioning, is this really a good use of our time, energy, spirit, whatever? At the same time as understanding, you want to do it in a way that's real and respectful. Because, you know, does that still sound like, you know, that's the goal that you wanted to achieve?
I would add like, I like real and respectful, and then I would add like effective, which like goes along with those things. But it's like, you know, you know, like respectful is a piece of effective, right? I think they like go pretty well together, but I think there's like a, you know, yeah, that's the third element I would add. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about that meeting, when you're going in and you're like, I'm going to prepare, how are you going to, with the skills that you have? And I want to also acknowledge this willingness or this desire to have everyone walk away, not just part of the group walk away with something, everyone walk away with, hey, that was an effective use of our time.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to speak my mind. How are you real, respectful, and effective? What do you say? What do you do?
Yeah. This is helpful because now, okay, like the way I'm thinking about this is one, I am going to say what I think.
Okay.
Like there's no way to be any of those three things, to be honest. Yeah. There's no way to be any of those three things without like bringing my like full viewpoint. And I recognize the risk inherent in that. Like I see that pretty clearly and I'm okay with that.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
And I think that like where I'm left after that, so like in that realness or authenticity is like, what is the effective and respectful version of what is the effective and respectful version of like what I want to say? And then like and a very logistical question of like, am I the first one to share out of a group of 10 people like when the question comes? And I don't know the right answer to the second one, and I'm not sure how to say the first yet, but I know that's like where I'm headed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So given our time, what will help you get there? Because again, this is a real realization that you're like, I need to do these things. Here are the elements. I don't know what the words are yet.
Right.
How will you develop that? What space will you give yourself?
Yeah. How will I develop that? Yeah, I think the easiest thing to do would be, to just like to write out my statement. It's like how I process, and then share that with someone and get some feedback. Probably one of my colleagues, and just see how that occurs to them. Yeah.
So I want to go back on that feeling place. When we started, you were like, there's something, I don't know why, but there's something about this meeting. And you know, now you've put those things in place of writing and kind of bouncing it off someone. How are you feeling about the meeting next week?
Yeah. Better, but not for the reason I thought, maybe.
Tell me more.
Is like, no, I mean, I think saying out loud like what I was like fearful about and the assumptions I had made, like just like painted a clearer picture for myself of like what's on the table and what's not, or like what's on the line and what's not. And I think it was like beforehand, it was like kind of a vague unease, and now it's like, no, it's like this specific thing. This is the outcome that like may happen. You know, that really is out of my control. And even with that, here's like how I want to show up and what I might want to say. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah.
And I want to commend you for that. Like I do. I'm grateful for that you brought this forward, and I want to commend this. I want to show up in a real way. I want to show up to create a space for others to be in a real way at the same time as that real, respectful, curious place. So I really want to commend you. And I know that I think Lorraine is going to come on and give us some feedback. Talk or give her our observations. Just so much gratitude to you, Travis, and good luck next week.
This was really helpful. Thank you.
I am going to put on 10 minutes, because being on time is not my jam as far as trying to keep it tight. Hey, you two, thank you so much for that. Travis, thank you for showing up, being you, and Rosa for being just fabulous. You, responsive and holding a space for Travis to explore and to think, and for us all to witness you both. Thank you so much. Travis, in that experience, coaching is really for you, about you, as you may know. And so what is it that emerged for you that was most important in that 12-minute coaching with Rosa?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing for me was like clarity of thought, and like advancing that like thought process that I haven't been able to do inside my own head yet. And so like having Rosa kind of like guide me along that, and then, you know, like mirror back to me what I was saying out loud was really helpful, just to yeah, to make it from this like cloudy thing into something like pretty clear.
Okay, so you've got some clarity. That's what's most important to you.
Yeah.
Now that you're clear, what is possible that wasn't 12 minutes ago?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like I was walking into that meeting, or like I was like a little bit resigned about like walking into the meeting on Tuesday and being like, who knows, you know, like I just can't get my head around this. Like I'm dreading this moment, and you know, and I think like, and I have enough experience to know that like if that's how you walk in with dread, you're also leaving with the same thing. And so a little bit of me was just like resigned to that, which is why this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something that's possible that wasn't before is hope.
Yeah, yeah, hope, and I think like some, I think there's like something possible about like having some like peace about the outcome, regardless of what it is. Of like, if I show up in this way and say what I would need to say, it actually doesn't matter what happens. It's just like how I can still
Rosa's like,
leave. Yeah.
I know, I'm like dropping mics. Travis, do it.
Mic drop. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I'm just really struck by the impact of what you just said, Travis, and what you just said that's possible that wasn't before, because resignation to that type of, there's capacity, there's opportunities, there's potential. Talk about tapping into potential. And you did that work. Rosa modeled for us responsiveness, unattachment. So let me give you an example. She asked you a question. So what's the conversation that you need to have? And you're like, well, I don't know about that, but this is what came, you know, and you started talking about and connecting with your fear. And that was so beautiful. And why it was really a significant, important piece for the people that are watching today is because it demonstrates the significance and the importance of being unattached and practicing the art of giving up the need to know. Because if Rosa had got all concerned about the fact that, oh, maybe I asked the wrong question, or, oh, I didn't get it right, that would have affected her responsiveness to you, Travis, and you might not have gotten the space to be able to go and check out those fears. And when you said, oh, did I answer your question? She might have needed to pull you back and say, no, you didn't. This was, you know, come back. But she just stayed with you. She followed you and in response to you. And through that, you've shifted from a resignation to potential, which is, as per the definition that Allison introduced to us, the ICF definition of coaching. Boom, and there was the mic drop. So just fantastic, both of you. And if I might add too, that the other thing that I just want, Allison emphasized the absolute importance of partnering, and that's a bit jargony in the coaching world. And what you did for us, both of you, was that you demonstrated partnering for us, which is a combination of coaching presence, the integration of the coaching skills, listening, encouraging, questioning. Well, you didn't make any requests, but action planning, along with who you're being with Travis in response to Travis. And it was that openness where so much was explored, and just your own curiosity, Rosa, that really drove those questions. I didn't sense of, well, this is the right question to ask, tick the box. It was, this is what's inspired in me as a result of what I'm hearing. And you actually demonstrated that for us in your language, because what I'm hearing is, so you're actively listening to him, you're letting, so here's the thing. People do not hear what they say. I have no clue what I just said 30 seconds ago.
Agreed.
Which is why it's so great we're recording this. But so our clients don't either. So the gift, part of the gift and the beauty in coaching is simply in being present and reflecting back what people are saying so they can hear what they've just said and then go, that actually doesn't quite make sense. That's not. So I think at one point I'd have to go back and look it up. I think Travis said, well, when you put it that way, you know, and then he shifted his thinking a little bit. I think that was earlier on in the conversation. And again, what was really beautifully modeled by you, Rosa, in your proficiency and competency in coaching and your knowledge and experience was that the client does the work, the client does the work, the client does the work. If you're working too hard, you're not coaching, and you were coaching the whole time.
Great.
So,
Thank you for that.
yeah, so beautifully, just so much demonstrated. How am I doing? I'm talking really fast because I want to fit a lot in. I've got 30 whole minutes.
I hear you, Lorraine. And one thing I wanted that came to mind as you were talking, and hopefully we're staying on time, is that place of spending the time at the beginning to say, like, what's important to you? What do you want to walk away with? Because it allows you as the coach to, as person's processing, I'm an external processor. If I, I'll talk and talk and talk and process. And I heard when Travis was like, okay, I'm lost. And I was able to be like, yeah, don't worry. I got the notes of where you started, and I'm going to bring you back to where you started, and like, let's go that way. And that's why it's so important to spend the time to say, what is it? What do you want to get out of the conversation? Why is that important? Because as a coach, you can say, okay, where did we meander? Oh, cool. I hold the process. I'm going to go back and say, how are we doing against that goal? Does it need to shift? How far are we going? Even in that 12 minutes, it's like an anchor. And I was kind of back to that. It's spend the time, because it becomes an anchor. It makes your life easier. Like, it makes it easier to go with the flow.
Yeah, and so to build on that, because that was evidenced and demonstrated so well in this coaching, is the competency of establishing the coaching agreement, which is what you're referring to. And it's not just establishing it, spending the time there, it's maintaining it.
Right.
It establishes and maintains the agreement. And you had that opportunity to come back to that place. You didn't have to flounder and, oh, you're lost. Oh, no, let me fix it for you. You were able to stay in your coaching presence because you could go and say, oh, yeah, remember this agreement that we had at the beginning? You said you wanted to get this. Just so beautifully demonstrated. You're beautiful and such a powerful, profound coach. And Travis, I wish you well in your meeting.
Yeah, I think we all do. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah.
And thank you, Travis, as well, for being willing to do this. We really, really, really appreciate it, and it's providing so much value to others. And Rosa, you rock, as well as Lorraine. And so thank you all so much for supporting this. And I'm going to segue into a few things as we've just got a few minutes left. And so again, thank you all so much. And I wanted to just mention, you've all witnessed this. And that's why I always say, what if everyone had coaching skills? This is why I'm a passionate advocate for this, because what if we had more conversations like this? What if that was the case? And on that note, we have a whole variety of people who are here on this webinar today. Some of you are already experiencing us, and that's great, and you're taking programs for us, but we have fantastic programs that can support you in that what if everyone had coaching skills. And we've got some mentor coaching for some of you that have not yet had your mentor coaching, and it is included in our fast track. But for some of you are here that aren't part of that, we have our fast track mentor, we have our mentor coaching programs available for you, and we will be sending out, well, there you go, because this can really support you as you are growing and developing your coaching skills. It can support you in your ACC or PCC application. So we want you to know that it's here. We can help you with that, and you'll see this all on our slide here, and we get you mentored. So there you go, if you need that. And also, Stephanie, thank you for that slide, by the way. It shows very, very clearly how it can support you. And then as well, where do you see yourself on your coaching journey? Because we want to support you as best we can. You're wanting to take a first step towards coaching, we've got something for you there. Eager to obtain a credential, we can support you with that. On your way, we can help you with that. Experienced, and want some CCEs, we've got some programs for you that will help you with that. And by the way, for all of those who stayed today, we will be including one CC for those of you who are renewing your credential, etc. You can use that with the ICF, and that'll be provided after our webinar, a little while after. And also, want to support others in learning our fabulous proven model with well over 30,000 people, we can help you there too. Also, so see yourself. Where do you see yourself as you're moving through your own coaching journey? And we have a number of programs that are next. We've got dates and times that are all scheduled here. And what I want to say is, any questions, schedule time with our program advisor, contact us, reach out. We have a variety of ways that you can reach out to us. And thank you for showing up today, for taking time out of your busy lives in coming to this webinar, and continue to take some risk and coach. And I'm seeing some comments. What are you walking away with? What's one thing you're walking away with as a result of today? Share it in the chat. And in the meantime, have a great rest of your day, everybody. And thank you all from Coaching Out of the Box. Thanks, Rosa. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, our coachees. And thanks, Emily, for being there to support us too, as well as Stephanie. And Brenda, and everybody needs to be acknowledged for putting in this time. You're making a difference for yourselves, and you're making a difference in people's lives. Okay, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye-bye.